Hey everyone, welcome back to Cocktail Cards. Today, we're going to show you how to make an old fashioned. All right, so the old fashioned has really gone through a lot of different variations throughout time. And I think today there's really three main versions of an old fashioned that you still might get if you went out to the bar and ordered one today. One of them is a Wisconsin old fashioned. It's made with brandy, and it's kind of an entirely different drink. It will be a little bit similar to the first one we're gonna make here, but I'm gonna save that one for a whole different video, so don't worry, all you Wisconsinites, Wisconsinans, all of you from Wisconsin, I'm not leaving you out. I will make a video on a Wisconsin old fashioned. I just wanna do a little bit more research, really find out how to make that drink first. But I wanna dive into the two that are probably most popular. Now, one of them will have some muddled fruit in it, okay? And you may or may not add soda to this one as well. So it's kind of one that was really popular when I very first started bartending. So let's go ahead and jump in and show you how to make the first version of the old fashioned. All right, so the first thing we're going to do for this one is we're gonna take a sugar cube and we're gonna put it on the bottom. Now, I typically don't like using sugar cubes in my old fashions because they just never fully get dissolved, and I end up always having, chunks of sugar in my drink. I've heard some people really like that. Not my style, not my jam, so I'm gonna show you how to make more of like a clean, clear old-fashioned. However, this version, there's so much stuff in it that the cube kind of works, so I'm gonna go with that whole theme on this one. And next we're gonna cut a wedge of orange. We're gonna throw that in the glass with the sugar. And we're gonna grab one cherry as well. So go ahead and grab your cherry and toss that in the drink. Now at this point, we're just gonna muddle the orange, the cherry, and the sugar cube until we get kind of a nice paste consistency in here. Next, we're gonna add 2 ounces of whiskey. Now you can use a bourbon or rye. We're just gonna use a bourbon for this one here. And then we're gonna add 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. Next, we're gonna add ice and give this a nice stir for about 20 seconds or so. All right, now at this point, I've seen this a lot of times. They will just take this drink and dump the whole thing into a glass with all the orange chunks, all the cherry, all that stuff in there. I hate that, that drives me crazy. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna fill our glass up with ice, and then we're gonna go ahead and double strain this into our glass. And the reason why I'm double straining this is because there's so many chunks, from the orange and the cherry and everything. I really wanna kinda filter all that out so you're not eating that chunk, it's not getting stuck in your teeth, anything like that. Trying to do this version justice here. So go ahead and double strain your cocktail into your glass. So at this point you could be done, and actually I'm just gonna give it a taste here. A lot of orange, a lot of cherry, a little bit of whiskey in there, right? You do get a little bit of that whiskey flavor. Yeah, it's got a real jammy flavor, if that makes any sense. It's got sweetness, it's got like, that orange just really comes through strong. So what was really popular is people would top it off with soda water to kind of reduce kind of how sweet and how jammy this version was. And it's just a little bit of soda water on top. There we are. And this one, typically they would give you like an orange wedge and some cherries. I'm gonna keep it at least a little fancy here. We're gonna do a orange zest. And then I'm gonna take a cherry. Put a pick right through here and kind of sandwich that cherry and orange in there. Put it right in there as a garnish. So there you have it, the first version of the Old Fashioned that was actually pretty popular when I first started bartending. So let's go ahead and give this one a try. Okay, so one thing that this drink is really doing is it's really masking that flavor of whiskey, okay? The soda water isn't really hiding it. It's really kind of just lightening the flavors of everything in here. But when I first tasted it, it was a lot of orange, a lot of cherry, a lot of sweet, a lot of things to really hide the fact that you don't want to taste the whiskey. And for some of you, this might be perfect. This might be the Old Fashioned you're used to, the Old Fashioned you love, and exactly the Old Fashioned you want to learn how to make. So hopefully that was helpful. Next, we're going to jump into more of the modern Old Fashioned that you'll probably get if you were to order one today. I know you would if you went into my bar restaurant and most bars here in Seattle. So let's go ahead and jump into the second version of the Old Fashioned. All right, so for this one, first thing we're gonna do is add 2 ounces of our whiskey. Again, you can go with bourbon, you can go with rye. Just to mix it up here today, I'm gonna start with 2 ounces of my rye whiskey. All right, now next here, we're gonna add 2 more components to this drink. We're gonna add a sweet component and we're gonna add a bitter component. Now, this is where you can actually be a little creative, and depending on the bars you go to, different styles, you might get different bitters. You might have different ingredients that add sweetness to the drink. I know real popular ones are simple syrup, obviously. You could throw a cube of sugar in there. It's still pretty popular to do that. Like I said, it's not my favorite, so I'm not gonna do that. But you could do a simple syrup. I personally like to do a demerara syrup, and I also like to just use maple syrup if I want to have a little bit more of a rich sweetness like I did in the maple walnut Old Fashioned that I did. So for my favorite type of Old Fashioned, if I'm just at home, I'm gonna use demerara syrup, and all I'm gonna do is just add 1 bar spoon of demerara syrup. And demerara syrup, it's kind of a rich, sweet, brown sugar. You can make this just like simple syrup, and it's pretty easy to find. You should be able to find this in most grocery stores. All right, now for your bitters, you have so many options. You can use Angostura bitters, which are probably most popular. You can use a chocolate bitter. You can use a black walnut bitter. You can do orange bitters, right? You can be creative. Find out what you like, what your palate is really into. You can riff different bitters with different sweets and really be creative and find what you like. The beauty of learning how to make this drink at home is that you can really customize this cocktail to really fit your palate. But for a classic Old Fashioned, I'm just gonna use Angostura bitters, and we're gonna do 2 dashes of our bitters. Now let's go ahead and add some ice and give this a stir for about 20 seconds. All right, go ahead and grab a rocks glass. And I have some clear ice that I carved out earlier today, so I'm gonna throw some clear ice in there. Now you can serve this on the rocks, or you could do a big ice cube if you have ice molds. I personally carved out some clear ice today, so I have some clear ice that is perfect for a drink like this. So let's go ahead and strain our drink into our glass. Lastly, we're gonna do an orange peel for our garnish. Now go ahead and give it a squeeze to let out those essential oils. Toss that in there. And there you have it, the Old Fashioned. So that's a little bit more my style. It's gonna be whiskey forward. There's no hiding it. You're just kind of enhancing the whiskey flavor, right? Really kind of old fashions, when they first started, it was a way to hide the fact that you didn't have any good tasting booze. Really, you're adding, you know, really sweets, really bitters, really strong flavors to really try and mask, you know, really bad liquor back then. But it's really evolved into a lot of different things. I think both drinks really have their merits. This is definitely fruity. Maybe someone who wants to learn how to drink whiskey, but they don't quite love it yet. They need something to, like training wheels to get into it. This might be the type of old fashioned that you would love to try because it really masks the whiskey. I mean, it's there, right? It's not like gone. So it's a good way to kind of introduce you to the whiskey, where the more modern old fashioned is highlighting the whiskey, and the sweet tones and the bitters are just kind of there as like a little extra flavor just to round out the drink for you and make it a little bit more smooth. So there you have it, 2 versions of the old fashioned. Let me know down below, which one is your favorite type of old fashioned? Do you drink version number 1 or version number 2? I am curious. When I first started, most of you would probably say this one, but right now, I would say most of you would probably say this one. So where are you at in your old-fashioned journey? Which one do you like? Let me know in the comments, but until next time, I'm AJ with Cocktail Cards. Cheers.